Well, hi there, it's Cindra. Today, let's talk about masking fluid. Try to take away a little bit of the mystery that a lot of people feel, or the intimidation, or even overuse or misuse of it, okay? Let's get going. So, masking fluid can do so many wonderful things. And in fact, right here, I used it for these daisies in just a lush field. And again, I wanted to preserve the white of the petals here of the daisies itself. So when I wanted to do that, and I'm going to show you real close, when I wanted to do all of these petals and buds, I didn't want to have to paint carefully around each one of them. And so I used masking fluid. Now, there's several different types of masking fluid. You may be familiar, for example, with Winsor and Newton is the one I used for years and years. And I also love Core. QOR. I think their masking fluids are great. Most masking fluids, like those two I just mentioned, are slightly tannish, cream tan in color. And the reason that they have that color is so that you can distinguish them between the white of the paper. But one little tip and trick is to add a little watercolor to your white or light masking fluid. Whatever color you want, just mix it in and you can use that. Another little trick, if I can find a small piece of paper over here. Oh, here, I was smarter than I thought. I already had it laid out. Another idea, I'm just going to use a scratch paper to show you. Another idea is to use PBO. Are you familiar with PBO? It's nice because they consider it a drawing gum, but truthfully, of course, it's just a masking fluid, just another name for it. It might be a little thinner, and I started using it quite a bit when I was starting to use very delicate, small lines. You know, with masking fluid, a lot of times when you peel back, you really don't have the beautiful, tight little areas that you want very clean. So I want to go through how to make things clean also. So I just poured it out. It's light blue in color, okay? And that light blue color, although it's not quite as beigey as something like, the Winsor Newton core or many others, it's very nice because you can go ahead. I'm making a couple flowers to show you. These are going to be daisies. This one I started like a little crocus or something. And then I decided, wait a minute, my example was daisy, so I started over. But here you go. Now you'll notice I'm using one of these. I also oftentimes use this. Why don't I use a good brush instead of using these children's kindergarten brushes? And by the way, this was a great discovery when I figured this one out. I buy it in packs. I use it not only for masking fluid and just toss it, but I also use it when I'm pulling. Take a look for some of my past tutorials. I just gave you ideas on how to pull up bokeh circles. I use this because it's got a lot of spring, it's synthetic, and it's like a snap brush in the way that it just pops back into its shape. It really, really works well with a lot of things, and that includes bokeh, masking fluid, little flat lines when you want reflections in the water or pulling. There's a lot of good things with these cheap little brushes you can use. They're made for children, evidently, at the beginning. Some say that, some don't, but I really highly recommend it. And then I simply toss it away when I'm done, which I'll do right now. Now, if I don't have that, never use, I hope you've heard this before, but I hope I can bring it home extra strong. Never use one of your better brushes. Just don't do it. It's going to ruin it like crazy. It'll never come back. If you are going to use a regular painting brush and hope to use that painting brush again when it just hasn't turned into just a gummy plastic rubber head that you can't get off, use a brush that's not your favorite, like an older brush or a cheaper brush, and then take that brush and have a bar of soap that's just lightly damp, or keep it dry. Dip your brush in the water and just run it from all sides. Do you see I'm twisting over here? Run it from all sides and angles to coat it thoroughly. I really think it's important to do it thoroughly. Sometimes people just go like this. No, do it from all angles, coat it thoroughly, and then dip it into your masking fluid. And then when you rinse it, that soap will have taken care of it. My preference is an old junky brush, to not even fuss with it or not pray that it doesn't get to it, okay? Another thing you can do, and again, I especially love the PBO for this type of thing. It's a little thinner than the others. You can use a dip brush. This is for like calligraphy or other things. And the nice thing with a dip brush like this, there's several nice things. One is you can do really nice, beautiful, clean lines, very thin, very just controlled in tight little lines. And the second nice thing is you never have to worry about ruining it, because when it's dry, you just peel it off the tip and you're done. So these type of little dip brushes, there's many kinds. This is probably the one I use the most, but you can get some fancy ones as well, and they work well for a tight line. Another thing that works exceptional for a tight line is something as simple as a little pick like this. This is like a small skewer. I've used it before. You can see I peel it off and I use it a few times usually. This, just like the dip pen, can make just beautiful, clean, delicate lines. And if you're doing a whole scene where, say, you have a bunch of grass and you want really beautiful light ones that are kept pure in the front, this will really do a good number for you. You can also use something like a toothpick. You can get a tiny little twig. But I get these usually like at a Dollar Tree type of store. I get a little packet of skewers. These are the same kind that you can pop your meat through it if you're going to do a barbecue, or sometimes it's nice if you have balsamic. You can, I'm getting hungry talking about this, but you could use mozzarella pieces and like cherry tomatoes and veggies like that, and soak it in a dressing or like balsamic vinegar. All right, the last one I want to show you today is called Fine Line, and it has a similar effect as both of the tiny ones versus the brush strokes. And it's built in already. The brand is Fine Line. It's a masking fluid pen, as you can hopefully read, and it has an interesting look to it. The cover itself has a long needle in it, not sharp, but just a long, thin needle that goes into the skinny tube. And so you got to thread it back in when the time has come when you're done. What's beautiful with this, and I usually tap it to get it flowing on a scratch paper, but the beauty with this is you're really, I'm going to go a little slower. I don't have examples handy. I should have pulled some out, but oh, do you make some beautiful lines with this? And these tiny little lines can be such friends. The part that's tricky is if you squeeze it as you're painting, you can get like a little blob at the end or the beginning. I just squeezed it to show you. Sometimes I'll make on the side a little blob of it and then drag it through. Once it's rolling, don't squeeze it. Just keep moving it and you'll be in good shape. I'm wiping the tip off with an old paper towel or a used paper towel, because as I'm holding it, it's easy to squeeze it without realizing it. And I'm threading the top. I'm a genius without my glasses trying to do it. There you go. It fits right in. I don't know if you saw that or if I was off camera, but I just threaded it right in, and then you twist it the rest of the way. Let me just take it off. I have a feeling I was trying to let my eyes see it clearer than the camera, and that didn't help you, did it? So I just pushed it back in the tube, push it in all the way, and finish screwing. So there you go. I'm just twisting it back in place. And those are my 3 favorite ones to do it. Now, when you're done with your masking fluid, and I only make it dry, 5 minutes. I really don't take that long. I know some people think it has to be a full 24 hours or at least 2 hours or something. If you do thin layers like I just showed you with all of the above, the thing that's a little tricky is it's going to stay shiny even when it's not wet. But what I do, and I want to remind you, do not get it on your clothes. It's almost impossible, if not impossible, to get off. But what I usually do is I don't worry about my fingers because I can kind of peel it off like Elmer's glue. So it's not quite dry. A couple little pieces, if you can see them, came off, and I just peeled them off right there. But I touch it very lightly. I don't want paint. More importantly, I don't want my paintbrush in that. So I just tap it gently. And like I said, I don't wait more than just a few minutes when it's done. It's always going to have a little bit of shine, and it's always going to feel a little tacky because it's latex after all. But if you tap it and it's not coming off, you can go ahead and paint. Now, when you're done painting, the paint has to be completely dry, and so does everything. So first, the masking fluid, in this case, PBO drawing gum, masking fluid. You want it totally dry. It changes slight color, but this is my fail-proof way to really double check it, and it won't hurt your finger and it won't hurt that. When this is very dry, you paint, and then you really have to let the paint dry. If you try to remove it before the painted surface is dry enough, you'll end up in trouble. It will start pulling up. If you've ever tried masking fluid, tried to pull it up and it ruined the paper a little bit, that's why. You really need that paper dry, not just surface dry, but really dry. However, you can't rush the process by using a hairdryer or a heating element, because if you do, you risk the chance of your masking fluid bonding with the paper and never coming off, which isn't the worst thing if you want to keep it on. Sometimes I want to keep it on to be like a rough wood texture or something, and then I wouldn't mind using a heating element or hair dryer. In fact, that would be a good idea to do in general for that type of thing. But for the rest of it, you want to take it off, and the best way to take it off is with an adhesive remover. This one I've cut, but it kind of looks like the bottom of your shoe or boot. And it's made for removing adhesive, and it works like a charm with this. It's still not dry enough, so I can't show you. You'll just have to trust me. If you go like this and the paper is still slightly damp or only surface dry, it'll start removing some of the paint with it. But if the paper is dry, the paint's dry, then you go like this, honey, that'll come up clear as a bell. And boy, am I spilling things right now. Oh, well, it was just water. Anyway, I wanted to show you, I won't lean on this, but I did want to show you this. Here is an example of it. And here's another one. This one's kind of more of a lighter, dreamy version. I use the same thing, and here's one too. I actually did this full tutorial from beginning to end on my Patreon site. If you want to go take a look, I really put a smorgasbord. That's my latest word for it. I put an entire smorgasbord of tutorials for you to just browse through, pick what you want. Even if you just do one a week, 1 or 2 a month, you'll really, I think, enjoy just the fun and friendliness, because I believe you go around this world once, you got to really just be a kind, warm person who's helpful. So I want to help you enjoy painting, and I hope you will consider coming to my Patreon site and consider it. This one is in the $15 level. Along with dozens and dozens, well, how many? Over 60 right now. I add 4 every month for each level. $15 one allows you to do every one of them below you. So they're starting out at $8. If you're brand new, that's the one I recommend. Blossoming is $12, which also gives you the access to 8 the starting out, and the $15 one gives you access to all three, and all three have about 30 tutorials in there for you to scroll through and see what hits your fancy, or just listen and we'll be buds. So I hope that's helpful to you with masking fluid. I'm going to go dry up and mop up my messy spill. Thank goodness the water was pretty darn clean. Take care. Until next time. Bye-bye. God bless.